One of my favorite things to do on my channel is to profile companies. Pick a specific company, find out what the questions are that they ask the candidates, tell you what those questions are, and teach you how to answer them. I've done it for a bunch of companies so far, and it is always fun. Inevitably, when you do that, people will watch those videos, and then they'll reach out to you, and some people will eventually say, Ben, guess what? I got the job. Your video helped me a ton. They asked a bunch of these questions and I felt very well prepared. That is incredibly rewarding. This happened recently with one of the people who watched my Tesla video. If you haven't watched that, when this is done, go watch that video. But he said, Ben, I watched your video. I just accepted an offer with Tesla. Thank you so much. I'd love to hop in a Zoom video. Thank you over video, but then also tell you about the steps so that you can share that with more people and help more people land jobs at Tesla. And in today's video, we're gonna do just that. I'm going to tell you everything that candidate went through and what his specific advice would be to land your job with Tesla. Let's go. What's up, everybody? My name is Ben White with Ben Talks Talent. I've got 11 years experience in interviewing, hiring, recruiting, talent acquisition, and I am passionate about using my experience to help you become the best candidate possible and land your next job. In today's video, I'm going to take you through every single step of interviewing with Tesla and what you need to do along the way to be successful. But before we do that, if you are new here, do me a favor, take 3 seconds and subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit that notification bell. That way you never miss one of my videos. And if you are not new, welcome back. So I want to jump right in and I'm going to talk about this candidate's experience. Now, who is this candidate? I'm going to keep the identity and location private. The candidate requested anonymity, but he is someone who watched one of my videos, my Tesla video on how to land a job with Tesla, took all the notes, prepared, and ultimately ended up receiving an offer, and he is going to be starting with Tesla. This is in a technical engineering role. So everything I'm about to say, keep in mind that this is something that this person went through for a technical role. If you were in a non-technical role, your process might vary slightly, but there will certainly be some overlap. So even if you're not in a technical role, there might be value here. Make sure you stick around until the end because there's some things he revealed to me and some of the tips that he would recommend candidates doing that I think are incredibly helpful. I'm gonna put them at the end of the video. Let's talk about the steps. What are the steps this person went through? So this candidate told me that he went through 4 steps. All 4 were virtual. His specific process was 4 30-minute video interviews. The first one was with a recruiter. So the first part was a 30-minute with a recruiter. The second one was a 30-minute interview with a technical expert. So this is a subject matter expert in his specific technical field. Again, 30 minutes. He then did another 30-minute interview with another member of that team who was also considered a technical expert. And it was followed with one more 30-minute video interview with the hiring manager. So 4 30-minute interviews totaling 2 hours. This is after applying, of course, and all 4 were 30 minutes. Now, one of the things he mentioned to me that he felt like based on the conversations, if they didn't get the answers they wanted and they weren't all secure and they weren't all in unison and moving forward with the person, that he might have seen another step, another interview, another person. He said many times they are very slow and methodical and thorough in their process. So you might encounter that. You might say, well, Ben, I've already done 4 and I'm going in for my 5th interview. That would not surprise me based on what he told me. Now I want to talk about what to expect. What can you expect? What are some big notes he gave me that I think are relevant for you? Now the first one, and this was probably the neatest thing he told me, but he told me that all 4 people, from the recruiter, both technical people, and then the hiring manager, all 4 asked him, what accomplishment are you most proud of? So that is not surprising to me. That is something that I covered in my first Tesla prep video. It is a question that you are absolutely going to get asked. However, until I spoke with him, I had no idea that all 4 people would ask you the same exact question, but that is how completely ingrained in their interview process that question is. So my recommendation here is you really need to have several accomplishments that you're very proud of. They need to be work problems, they need to be big problems, and you need to have those ready and you need to be ready to speak on them. Once they were asked, they actually probed further. And this was really interesting. He told me that the technical people actually probed incredibly deeply. So once he gave his answers, they would then ask him questions like, how long did it take? They actually asked about cycle times. So they got so specific that they were asking specific technical questions on his accomplishment. So My advice to anybody going into an interview process with a technical person at Tesla is that when they ask you, what are you most proud of? You need to be prepared to talk about specific technical details. How long did it take? Cycle times? What was your biggest learning moment? All these different things. You can't just have, I was really proud of this. I should be able to answer that interview question. My advice to you, write down what you're most proud of and then go through and catalog all the different things that someone who is inquiring in a very in-depth fashion would want to know, including specific technical things. Just an added thought here. Most of us know the Elon Musk quote. If you follow Elon Musk at all, and if you are watching this video, I assume you probably do. And I'm going to paraphrase here, but he says basically anybody who has solved a very difficult problem remembers exactly what they did to solve it. The reason being, it was difficult, right? If you have solved something challenging, you know how to fix it. At Tesla, at SpaceX, they are all about solving the world's big problems. And they expect their candidates to be someone who is motivated to solve problems. And anybody who has solved problems can probably tell you in detail a bunch of the specifics because it was challenging to solve. That's what they're going to expect, so be prepared for it. Another note, 2 of the people asked why Tesla. If you interview with any company ever, you should expect them to say why blank, why this company. You should always be ready to answer that, but specifically, when you're talking about any Elon Musk company, so Tesla, SpaceX, the Boring Company, whatever it is, Neuralink, you need to be prepared to talk about the mission because they're all very mission driven. So when you're answering the interview question, why Tesla, be prepared to talk about why you're a great fit for the role and why you are motivated by their mission, why you are passionate about solving big problems in a collaborative nature with other smart people. I would really make that the focus of my answer, talk about the mission, a little bit more on that later. One of the things that's also unique about Tesla is how prepared they were. So he made special note of telling me, look, their level of preparedness was excellent. You know how you walk into an interview sometimes, or you dial into an interview sometimes, and it seems like the person you're talking to, it's the first time they've ever looked at your resume? That will not happen here. They were all very familiar. He said when he was talking to them, it was like they already knew the answers he had previously given during the previous interviews. So it wasn't just he knew the resume, it wasn't just that the people talking to him knew about him and his background, they knew what he had said in previous interviews. So expect for them to be very thorough and very well researched on you specifically as a candidate. Now the last thing I want to touch on is candidate tips. I asked the candidate, what would you say to people who are interviewing with Tesla? If someone was interviewing with Tesla tomorrow, what is the advice you would give them to make sure they succeeded? And he gave me 4 points. Now the first one is they move quickly. So answering the questions efficiently is important. He said to answer in short, simple, and concise answers. So they're going to be firing away questions. They're going to be asking you about things. And his advice is you don't want to ramble on. Get to the point, give your answer, be specific, be thorough, but move through quickly and efficiently. Tip number 2, this is going to sound a little bit of like a repeat here, but he said you have to believe in the mission. He felt that it was critical, that during the entirety of his interview process, it was so important that he did convey that he was a believer in their mission. He thought he would be doing valuable work and he was eager to contribute to it. You have to portray that as a candidate. If you don't do that, I think you put yourself at a pretty significant disadvantage interviewing with Tesla. His third tip was do a ton of research on the role and do a ton of research on the company. So you should be really well informed. He said he was doing research. That's how he stumbled upon my video. Again, if you haven't gone to that video, go watch it because I literally go through like 12 different questions they asked. And I asked him, did they ask you these questions? He said they asked him like 9 of them. So there's obviously things change but for the most part, they were spot on. So do a ton of research, be familiar with them, be familiar with the position so you can speak to how there is overlap. What have you done? What are they looking for you to do? Where is the overlap? Be prepared to speak to that and be very well researched on the company. Lastly, he said make your story about how you fit in with the company and the mission. So they're going to ask you questions, talking about your career arc, what you've done so far, where you're going, what you'd like to be doing. Make it centered around going in the direction of this company, right? Anytime you interview with a company, your goal should be to get hired by that company. So when you're interviewing with them and they tell you, where do you want to be in 5 years? the conclusion of that story should be, I want to be working for you, right? So talk about, whenever they're asking you, I want you to think about in the way that, how can I convey my interest and qualification for this role? And how can I convey my desire to be someone who is contributing to this mission? He said that was 100% key. As he's going through and he's having these 4 different interviews, as he's talking with these different people, he was very cognizant of making sure that he kept that front of mind. I want to contribute to this mission. They were all passionate about it. It matters to them. Those people who work at Tesla could probably be working anywhere, right? You can be an engineer there, you could probably be an engineer just about anywhere. But they're not anywhere else, they're there because they care about the mission. When you're a candidate for Tesla, you need to show that you also care about that mission and you belong there. So there you have it. Those are everything that he told me. I think this is a great companion piece to my original Tesla video. Watch both of these. I think it's helpful to know the steps. I think it's helpful to get a candidate's perspective. My initial research is done by Googling it, finding articles from Forbes, from Inc.com, from going on Glassdoor and seeing what some of the candidates have said. Yes, this was asked, and kind of cross-checking those. So if you're reaching the end of this, please subscribe and please hit the like button. Every time you hit the like button, it tells YouTube I don't suck. But also, go watch my Tesla video. It's a great video for this. I've also profiled SpaceX. I've also profiled Amazon, and I recently profiled Apple. So if those companies interest you as well, go watch those. Thank you for watching. Good luck in your interview. You've got this.